What's going on, everybody? Sausage here. What if the scariest part of a horror game was just waiting? No weapons, no escape, just the feeling that something is getting closer. Today, we're reviewing Taguan. Let's talk about that. So, the story. You play as David Lagani, if I said that right. You're just an ordinary guy living in the Philippines, living a quiet, routine life. That routine starts to fall apart when news spreads about a mysterious figure that's been breaking into homes and making people disappear at night. As the nights pass, the tension builds, and every sound feels closer. Every moment feels longer. The story follows David as he continues his normal life while that fear slowly creeps in. The title Taguan comes from the Filipino word tago, meaning to hide, and it also refers to the childhood game of hide and seek, tying directly into the game's themes, which I'll touch on in a bit. Moving on to the gameplay, Taguan is a narrative-driven walking simulator. There's no combat, no stealth systems, no traditional survival mechanics, nothing like that. The gameplay focuses on exploration and interacting with the environment. Progression is tied entirely to story events, and the experience leans heavily on atmosphere, sound, and pacing. It's designed to be played in a single setting, and the structure is more interactive fiction than traditional gameplay. Now, let's talk about the graphics. The game uses low-poly, semi-realistic visuals, and the style is reminiscent of older PS1-era horror games. The environments are grounded and realistic in scale, and the lighting and shadows are used to build tension throughout the entire game. And this part isn't really about the graphics, but Taguan features a lot of Filipino voice acting. There is some English thrown in, but there is quite a lot of Filipino language. The visual design focuses more on mood and atmosphere than the detail. Lastly, let's talk about the value or the amount of time you'll get out of this game. Taguan is priced at $4 US. I got about an hour of gameplay out of it, and it's designed to be completed in a single setting. The experience is fully self-contained, and the focus is on delivering a short, narrative-driven psychological horror experience. So let me give you guys my thoughts on the game before we get to the rating. I want to say that this is a slow burn experience, but it only lasts an hour, so I don't know if slow burn is the right way to say it, but outside of a few key moments, it's not consistently scary, and that's kind of okay with me. Most of the traditional horror comes from the atmosphere rather than direct threats, so if you're expecting frequent scares, it might feel a little underwhelming for some. The story did occasionally feel just a little bit confusing for me at times, but I think that's because I don't have the Filipino context to kind of base this off of. And I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure how hide and seek ties into the theme of the game, but here's what I think it means. At the very end of the game, you find out that David is the one who's committing these murders. The fear isn't something external, it's coming from within himself. It feels like his anger towards society and the corruption of it is building up, and that turned into something he wasn't aware of. It's kind of like a split personality where he's committing these acts without consciously realizing it. And the supernatural moments, they feel more like manifestations of guilt, even if he doesn't fully understand what he's done. To me, that's interesting, but like I said, it didn't completely land for me in a 100% clear way. But with that said, the PS1 style visuals worked really well for me, and they add to that level of unease because they're feeling slightly off just the entire time. And the standout moment for me of the entire game was during night 2. There's a sleep paralysis scene, and that was easily the most terrifying part of the game for me. It taps into a very real fear that many people have or have even experienced themselves, and it does it really effectively. The rest of the game leans more into being creepy rather than just outright scary, but that one moment proves just how strong it can be when everything clicked. So, with all of that said, Taguan earns a rating of 7.5 sausages out of 10. Taguan is a focused psychological horror experience. It's not trying to overwhelm you with mechanics or constant scares. It's built around tension, atmosphere, and a very specific kind of fear. When it works, especially in moments like with the sleep paralysis, it works really well. But outside of those peaks, it leans more into slow, creeping unease rather than full-on horror. The story is really interesting, even if it didn't fully land for me at some moments. The visuals do a great job supporting the tone, and the overall experience felt consistent with what it's trying to be. So sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's chasing you, it's the feeling that something is getting closer. And that's my review of Taguan. If you got this far, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a little comment below. But if not, just know that I appreciate your viewership nonetheless. I also stream on Twitch occasionally. I have a Discord for both content creators and casual viewers alike, and I'm a Steam curator, so consider following me on all of those platforms as well. I'll leave a link for everything in the description below. Anyway, I think I'm going to cut my review here. Mahoney out.